the catalyst of conflict. In a galaxy filled with diverse civilizations, they stood tall, boasting technological supremacy and an unwavering belief in their superiority. But on the fringes of their empire lay a tiny blue planet, Earth, home to a species that would soon challenge their arrogance. It all began at a crucial summit on the Iconian, where Chris Adams, a seasoned diplomat and covert operative, hoped to broker peace. As he entered the grand chamber, the atmosphere was thick with tension. The High Counselor, Primus, regarded Chris with contempt, his eyes glinting with malice. For months, the Iconians had made outrageous demands, insisting that humanity abandon its colonies near their territory. Chris stood firm, embodying the spirit of his people, determined to defend Earth's sacred right to exist. But his warnings fell on deaf ears. Primus, enraged by Chris' defiance, pulled the trigger, ending the diplomat's life in an instant. The news of Chris' execution reverberated across the galaxy, igniting a firestorm of outrage within the Earth Alliance. President Jonathan Michaels, a battle-hardened leader, recognized the gravity of the moment. In an emergency press conference, he announced the mobilization of military forces, declaring war against the Empire. "We will avenge Chris Adams and protect our colonies at all costs," he proclaimed, his voice steady despite the chaos brewing around him. As humanity prepared for war, the Iconians reveled in their perceived victory. Primus, now promoted to fleet commander, envisioned the swift destruction of the human colonies. He believed the humans were nothing more than primitive creatures, easily crushed under the weight of the Armada. But beneath the surface, Earth was readying its most powerful weapon, human ingenuity. Chris Adams was more than just a diplomat. He had recorded the threats and military capabilities through a special neural implant. This intelligence, now in the hands of Earth's military leaders, would shift the balance of power. The human fleet, equipped with advanced stealth technology, would soon reveal its might. As the Iconian warships advanced toward the nearest human colony, alarms blared across their fleet. Dozens of human ships materialized from their cloaks, weapons primed and ready. They were taken aback, their overconfidence shattered. "Prepare for engagement," Primus shouted, panic creeping into his voice as the first volleys of energy beams struck the Iconian. The clash was fierce and swift. Human ships, bristling with cutting-edge weaponry, cut through the fleet like a hot knife through butter. Explosions erupted as the once mighty warships crumbled under the relentless barrage. Primus's earlier bravado evaporated as he realized the dire situation unfolding before him. The humans were not the weaklings he had presumed. They were fierce warriors willing to fight for their homes. As the battle raged, a sense of determination surged through the ranks of the Earth Alliance. They were fighting not just for survival, but for their honor, their loved ones, and the legacy of Chris Adams. The humans would show the galaxy that underestimating them would be a grave mistake. The awakening of humanity's wrath. The fleet regrouped in a distant part of space, their once proud warships now limping shadows of their former glory. Inside the command deck of Primus's flagship, chaos reigned. Damage control teams scrambled to stabilize critical systems as the smell of burnt wiring and the sound of sparks flying filled the air. Primus stood at the center of it all, his face twisted with frustration and disbelief. How had the humans, these so-called primitive apes, managed to surprise them with such devastating technology? Primus's mind raced as he watched the tactical display. The Earth Alliance fleet had appeared from nowhere, using advanced cloaking systems far beyond anything the Iconians had encountered before. Worse yet, their weapons had sliced through the shields with terrifying ease, leaving their ships vulnerable. The humans were supposed to be easy prey, yet here they were, matching the fleet blow for blow and winning. "We need a full analysis of their weaponry." Primus barked at his tactical officer, who was frantically running diagnostics. "And find out how they managed to cloak an entire fleet without us detecting a single energy signature." The tactical officer, drenched in sweat, nodded hurriedly. "It's like nothing we've seen before, sir. Their weapons seem to destabilize our shields at a molecular level. The cloaking technology, it's not just stealth, it's almost as if they're bending space around their ships. On the edge of human space, the Iconian fleet prepare for their second assault. Primus stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as his ships formed up in battle formation. This time, there would be no underestimating the humans. He had ordered every available ship to join the fleet, and they now outnumbered the human forces by a significant margin. But Primus couldn't shake the feeling of unease that gnawed at him. The humans had surprised them once before, and there was no telling what other tricks they had in store. Still, he had his orders, and failure was not an option. "Admiral," his tactical officer called out, "we're detecting strange energy signatures from the human fleet. It looks like they're powering up some kind of superweapon." Primus's heart skipped a beat. "Prepare the fleet for evasive maneuvers. We can't let them." Before he could finish, a brilliant beam of energy erupted from one of the human ships, streaking across the void and slamming into the Iconian fleet. The impact was catastrophic. Several Iconian ships disintegrated on contact, their hulls vaporized by the sheer power of the blast. What is that?" Primus whispered in horror. It's some kind of directed energy weapon," his tactical officer stammered. "We've never seen anything like it." The human fleet surged forward, their ships moving with a deadly precision. The Iconian fleet was caught off guard once again, their ships crumbling under the onslaught of human firepower. As explosions tore through the Iconian formation, Primus knew with sickening certainty that they were facing an enemy unlike any they had ever encountered. The humans were not just defending their territory, they were hunting their invaders, and they were winning. Back on Earth, President Michaels received the reports of the battle's progress with satisfaction. The Iconians had underestimated them at every turn, and now they were paying the price. "General Reyes," he said, turning to his military advisor, "begin preparations for the next phase of our operation. It's time to take the fight to their homeworld." Reyes grinned. "With pleasure, Mr. President." The battle for survival had begun, and humanity was ready to show the galaxy what it was truly capable of. The rising storm. As the remnants of the Iconian fleet limped away from the shattered colony, the consequences of their actions began to take shape. The defeat was not merely a military failure, it was a blow to their pride, and Primus felt the weight of his decisions bearing down on him. He had underestimated the humans, and now he would pay the price. Back on Earth, the atmosphere buzzed with a mix of fear and determination. President Jonathan Michaels, fueled by the public outcry for justice, convened a meeting with military leaders in a secure bunker. They gathered around a holographic display, which flickered with images of the battle and the Iconian fleet's losses. The mood was somber, but charged with a sense of purpose. "Gentlemen, we've shown them what we're capable of," the president said, his voice steady. "But this is only the beginning. We must prepare for their retaliation. We can't let our guard down." The chief of military operations, General Laura Reyes, nodded in agreement. "They will come back stronger. We need to anticipate their moves and develop new strategies. Our advanced stealth technology has given us an edge, but we can't rely on it alone." As plans were laid out, the spirit of humanity was palpable. Soldiers, scientists, and engineers worked tirelessly, creating innovative weapons and defenses. Factories operated around the clock, transforming raw materials into advanced spacecraft and armaments. The nation had united, rallying behind a common goal: to protect their homes and avenge their fallen. Meanwhile, in the heart of the Iconian Empire, Primus was devising a plan to reclaim his honor. Humiliated by the defeat, he sought counsel with the High Council. In their grand chamber, he faced a room filled with cold, calculating gazes. "We underestimated the humans," he admitted, frustration lacing his voice. "They have technologies we were not prepared for." The High Counselor leaned forward, his voice low and threatening. "You will not fail us again, Primus. We demand retribution. The humans must suffer for their insolence." Our scientists are already working on enhancements to our ships. We will not only crush them, we will make an example of their resistance." Primus swallowed hard. The pressure mounted, and he felt the eyes of the council upon him, each member silently judging his worth. "We will launch a full-scale invasion of their colonies," he declared, trying to muster confidence. "We will overwhelm them with sheer numbers and demonstrate our might." Back on Earth, Chris Adams's name became a rallying cry. His sacrifice inspired countless individuals to join the military, while civilians supported the war effort in various ways. Protests erupted in favor of peace, but the prevailing sentiment was one of revenge. Mourners honored Chris' memory, ensuring his legacy would not be forgotten. As days turned into weeks, the military strategists devised a plan that would turn the tide of war. They identified key Iconian supply lines and potential targets that could cripple the enemy's ability to wage war. The Earth fleet would strike hard and fast, disrupting their operations before the Iconians could mount a coordinated response. In the depths of the Earth Alliance's command center, preparations for the counteroffensive reached a fever pitch. The tension in the air was electric as soldiers received their briefings. Among them was Captain Sarah Kim, a highly skilled pilot known for her daring tactics. She had led many successful missions and was determined to avenge Chris Adams. "Today, we fight not just for our homes, but for the future of humanity," she said to her squadron, her eyes burning with resolve. "Let's show the Iconians that we are not afraid. We will strike them where it hurts, and we will win." As the fleet prepared to launch, news reached them of the Iconian forces amassing for a new assault. The Earth Alliance's intelligence network intercepted communications, revealing the Iconians' plan to attack the colony of New Haven, a vital human settlement. It was now or never. The call to arms resonated throughout the military. Earth's forces assembled in the vastness of space, ships of all sizes aligning in a formation that shimmered with promise and power. As the flagship, the U.S. Valor, prepared for the mission, Jonathan Michaels stood on the bridge, surveying the vast fleet. "Today we show them who we are," he said, addressing his crew. "We are humanity, resilient and relentless. We fight for each other, for our past, and for our future. Let's make history." The fleet surged forward, propelled by a newfound unity and determination. As they approached New Haven, the mood shifted from anxiety to anticipation. Each pilot checked their systems, their hearts pounding with the adrenaline of impending battle. Meanwhile, on the Iconian flagship, the mood was one of arrogance. Primus and his commanders believed their overwhelming numbers would crush the humans without issue. "Prepare for the attack," Primus commanded, his voice brimming with confidence. "We will obliterate their forces and send a clear message to the galaxy." As both fleets drew closer, the tension in the air was palpable. Each side braced for the confrontation that would determine their fates. Humanity stood at the precipice of a defining moment, ready to unleash their fury against an enemy that had dared to take everything from them. The moment of confrontation arrived as the Earth fleet and the Iconian armada faced off in the void of space. Each ship, a testament to their respective civilizations' technology and ingenuity, prepared for battle. The atmosphere crackled with tension as both sides understood that the outcome of this engagement could alter the course of history. From the bridge of the U.S. Valor, Captain Sarah Kim observed the formation of Iconian ships. They were sleek and menacing, a display of raw power and arrogance. "Tactical analysis now," she commanded, her eyes sharp and focused. "Captain, the Iconians outnumber us 3-1, her tactical officer reported, tension lacing his voice. "But their ships are less maneuverable than ours, and we've upgraded our weapons since the last encounter." Sarah nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We'll use hit-and-run tactics. We need to disrupt their formations and target their command ships. If we can take out their leadership, the rest will falter." The crew moved with precision, and soon the order was given. "All ships engage." Sarah's voice rang out, and the fleet surged forward, engines roaring with determination. Energy beams lit up the darkness of space as the battle erupted. On the Iconian flagship, Primus watched the unfolding chaos with a mix of surprise and fury. "What are those humans doing? They're fighting like cornered animals," he shouted, his confidence wavering. "Reinforce our front lines. We cannot let them breach our defenses." The first exchanges of fire were devastating. Earth ships darted in and out of the Iconian formation, unleashing volleys of energy weapons that sliced through enemy shields like paper. Iconian vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light, a testament to the effectiveness of humanity's newfound tactics. "Maintain formation. Don't let them break through." Primus roared, but his orders were met with chaos. The humans were relentless, exploiting every weakness in the Iconian defense. In the thick of the battle, Captain Kim piloted her ship with fierce determination. "Target that command ship," she shouted, her hands steady on the controls. The U.S. Valor locked onto the Iconian flagship, and with a squeeze of the trigger, a burst of energy shot forth, striking the enemy vessel with a force that rattled the entire fleet. As the command ship shuddered under the assault, Primus's frustration boiled over. "Launch our fighters. They must not reach the flagship," he commanded, his voice cracking with urgency. Fighter crafts launched from the hangars of the Iconian ships, filling the space with a swarm of agile vessels. Sarah glanced at her display as the incoming fighters appeared, a dark cloud heading straight for her fleet. "Prepare to engage enemy fighters," she ordered, determination burning in her eyes. The battle turned into a chaotic melee, Earth fighters weaving through enemy fire, utilizing their superior maneuverability. Sarah's squadron danced among the chaos, targeting Iconian fighters with precision. Each explosion lit up the darkness, and each successful hit fueled the resolve of the Earth pilots. But the Iconians were not without their own tenacity. They fought back fiercely, determined to maintain their superiority. Primus, seething with rage, watched as his fleet struggled to regain control. "They can't sustain this attack. Push them back," he barked, desperation creeping into his tone. As the battle raged on, the balance of power shifted back and forth. Earth's forces pressed the attack, while the Iconians desperately attempted to regroup. Captain Kim realized that this was not just a fight for victory, it was a fight for survival. "We can't let up," she yelled to her crew. "We need to finish this now." In a bold maneuver, Sarah ordered her ships to concentrate a fire on the Iconian flagship. "We need to cripple their leadership. If we take them down, the rest will follow." The fleet responded with unwavering unity, energy beams converging on the Iconian command ship. Primus felt the ship shudder beneath him, alarms blaring as damage reports flooded in. "Fall back. Regroup," he shouted, panic gripping him. But the humans were relentless, and before he could regain control, the U.S. Valor unleashed a final devastating volley. The command ship erupted in a fiery explosion, sending debris spiraling through space. Primus's heart sank as he realized the loss of his flagship would fracture the Iconian morale. "No, this cannot be," he cried, his confidence shattered. As the remnants of the Iconian fleet scattered, Earth's forces cheered, the adrenaline of victory surging through their ranks. Captain Kim felt a rush of exhilaration, knowing they had struck a decisive blow. "Pursue the retreating ships. We can't let them escape," she commanded, and the fleet surged forward. But as they chased the retreating forces, a new threat emerged. The remnants of the Iconian fleet initiated a desperate counterattack, deploying hidden weaponry that had remained dormant until now. "Captain, they're activating hidden turrets," her tactical officer warned. "Brace for impact," Sarah shouted, her heart racing. The ships shuddered as blasts of energy struck the fleet, causing chaos among the ranks. "We need to regroup and adapt our strategy," she ordered, forcing herself to remain calm amid the turmoil. The battle raged on, and while Earth's forces had gained ground, the Iconians were not finished yet. Primus, seething with anger, gathered what remained of his command. "We may have lost the flagship, but we are not defeated," he declared. "We will adapt and strike back. The humans will pay for their insolence." As the two fleets continued their struggle in the depths of space, the stakes had never been higher. Each side was pushed to its limits, battling not only for victory but for survival. The clash of titans echoed through the stars, and as the dust settled, it became clear that this was only the beginning of a much larger conflict. The aftermath and the unlikely alliance. In the wake of the fierce battle, silence hung heavy in the void of space. The remnants of the Earth fleet drifted cautiously, assessing the damage and counting their losses. Captain Sarah Kim stood on the bridge of the U.S. Valor, her heart racing from the adrenaline of battle, but tempered by the weight of responsibility for her crew. The tactical officer, still scanning the screens, looked up with a mix of relief and concern. "We sustained significant damage, but we've managed to hold our ground. Several ships are critically damaged, but we have enough to pursue them if needed." Sarah nodded, acknowledging the bravery of her crew. "Prepare a recovery team for the damaged ships. We'll need everyone we can get for what's to come." As the crew set to work, Sarah's mind turned to the broader implications of their victory. They had successfully driven back the Armada, but the battle had revealed a greater threat lurking in the shadows. They were tenacious, and their losses would only fuel their resolve to retaliate. Meanwhile, on a distant planet shrouded in mist, Primus struggled to contain his fury. The loss of the flagship had been a devastating blow, not just to his fleet but to his reputation as a leader. The War Council gathered in the Grand Hall of the Stronghold, their expressions a mix of anger and anxiety. "Primus, your failure has cost us dearly," one of the council members hissed, his eyes narrowing. "The humans have proven they are not to be underestimated. What will you do to rectify this?" Primus clenched his fists, the pressure of their gaze weighing heavily on him. "I will not let a mere setback deter us. We will regroup and develop a new strategy. We must exploit their weaknesses." But another council member spoke up, their voice resonating with conviction. "Perhaps we should consider a different approach. If we continue to attack head-on, we will only suffer more losses. Instead, we should explore the possibility of an alliance." The room fell silent, shock rippling through the assembled leaders. "An alliance with humans?" Primus scoffed, but deep down, he recognized the truth in the suggestion. The humans had shown resourcefulness and ingenuity that was not to be ignored. As the discussion unfolded, Primus found himself intrigued by the idea. Perhaps an alliance could provide the strength they needed to counter not only the humans, but other threats in the galaxy. If they could leverage their combined forces, the potential for domination was immense. Back on the U.S. Valor, Sarah received an unexpected transmission. The screen flickered to life, revealing an representative, their demeanor cautious but resolute. "Captain Kim, I am here on behalf of Primus and the Council. We wish to propose a ceasefire and a potential alliance." Stunned, Sarah exchanged glances with her crew, uncertainty rippling through the bridge. "An alliance? After the battle we just fought?" she replied, skepticism evident in her voice. The representative nodded, a flicker of desperation in their eyes. "Yes, we have both suffered losses, and there are greater threats looming in the galaxy. If we continue to fight one another, we risk mutual destruction. Together, we may stand a chance against the forces that seek to control us all." Taking a deep breath, Sarah considered the implications. "What kind of alliance are you proposing?" she asked, her curiosity piqued despite her reservations. "We will share technology, intelligence, and resources," the representative explained. "In return, we seek protection from the very threats that loom over both our races. This is a pragmatic approach to survival." As the conversation continued, Sarah found herself weighing the possibilities. Could this alliance be a genuine opportunity for peace, or was it merely a strategic move to regain strength? She turned to her crew, their expressions a mixture of intrigue and caution. What do you all think? Her first officer, Lieutenant Rodriguez, spoke up. It could be a trap, Captain. We need to be careful, but if we can find common ground, it might just work. After deliberating, Sarah made a decision. We will consider the proposal, but we will not lower our guard. Arrange a meeting between our leaders to discuss the terms. As the message was sent, tension filled the air. This was uncharted territory for both civilizations, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Still, the prospect of collaboration offered a glimmer of hope amid the shadows of war. Days passed as negotiations unfolded. Captain Kim and Primus engaged in a delicate dance of diplomacy, each probing the other's intentions. They spoke of shared threats, the possibility of technological advancements, and the greater good. But beneath the surface, mistrust simmered, each wary of the other's motives. As discussions continued, the two sides began to uncover the potential benefits of collaboration. The Iconians shared their advanced energy systems, while the humans offered insights into adaptability and strategy. Slowly, a fragile understanding began to form, one built on necessity rather than friendship. But then, as the talks progressed, a new threat emerged. Reports flooded in from various sectors about a rogue faction within the galaxy, a group that sought to exploit the chaos between the Iconians and humans for their own gain. This faction, known as the Shadows, operated in secrecy, sowing discord and manipulating events to create turmoil. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Sarah and Primus agreed to a joint mission to confront this new enemy. If we do not act together, we risk losing everything we fought for, Sarah declared during a tense meeting. We need to combine our forces and take the fight to the Shadows before it's too late. The alliance was sealed with a shared commitment to face the unknown together. As both fleets prepared for their first joint mission, a new sense of purpose ignited among the crew members. The lines between enemy and ally began to blur, and for the first time, they felt the weight of their combined strength. As the Earth and Iconian ships moved side by side, Sarah gazed at the stars, contemplating the journey ahead. The road to unity would be long and fraught with challenges, but perhaps, just perhaps, they could forge a new path in the galaxy, one where cooperation triumphed over conflict. The Shadows, however, were watching their plans unfolding in the darkness. A new chapter had begun, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if this unlikely alliance could withstand the trials ahead. The Shadows strike. As the Earth and Iconian fleets prepared for their joint mission, anticipation buzzed through the air. Captain Sarah Kim stood on the bridge of the U.S. Valor, reviewing the intelligence reports on the Shadows. This elusive faction had been sowing chaos across the galaxy, taking advantage of the turmoil between humans and Iconians. It was imperative to act swiftly. Status report on the Shadows' movements, Sarah ordered, her gaze fixed on the view screen. Lieutenant Rodriguez, her first officer, focused intently on the data streaming in. They appear to be consolidating their forces in the outer rim. Reports indicate they've been raiding supply lines and destabilizing minor colonies. Their goal seems to be to incite further conflict between us and the Iconians. Sarah clenched her jaw. We can't let them manipulate us any longer. What's the plan for our first joint operation? Primus, who had joined the meeting via holographic transmission, interjected. We will target their stronghold in the outer rim. If we can cripple their supply chain and eliminate their leadership, we can send a clear message that we will not be pawns in their game. Agreed, Sarah replied. Let's assemble a strike force. We'll need our best ships and crews for this. As the preparations unfolded, both fleets worked tirelessly, exchanging tactics and strategies. The Iconians brought their advanced technology to the table, while the humans contributed their unparalleled adaptability in battle. Slowly, a camaraderie began to form among the crews, transforming the initial tension into a newfound respect. Days turned into weeks as they trained together, rehearsing maneuvers and sharing knowledge. A sense of unity began to blossom, forged in the fires of necessity. But as they grew closer, the Shadows continued to lurk in the background, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. On the eve of their planned assault, Sarah gathered her crew for a final briefing. The atmosphere was charged with excitement and nerves, each member aware that they stood on the brink of a new chapter in their shared history. "Tomorrow, we take the fight to the shadows," Sarah began, her voice steady but fierce. "This mission is not just about defeating an enemy, it's about showing that we can work together for a greater purpose. We may come from different worlds, but we fight for the same future." The crew erupted in a cheer, and for a brief moment, the weight of the conflict lifted, replaced by a sense of hope. As dawn broke across the starfield, the joint fleet of Earth and Iconian ships surged toward the Shadow's stronghold. The adrenaline coursed through Sarah's veins as she stood at the helm of the Vela, flanked by Primus and their respective crews. "Stealth mode activated," Lieutenant Rodriguez announced. The ships glided silently through the void, each vessel a testament to the newfound alliance. They approached the Shadow's base, a sprawling facility hidden within an asteroid field. As they neared, sensors picked up activity, Shadow's ships moving in and out, carrying supplies and reinforcements. Sarah felt a surge of determination. This was their moment. "On my mark," Sarah said, her heart pounding in rhythm with the beat of her resolve. "Engage." The fleet erupted into action, weapons primed and shields raised. Explosions lit up the dark void as they launched a coordinated assault, catching the Shadows off guard. The initial strike was swift and decisive, with both fleets working seamlessly to overwhelm their enemies. "Focus fire on the nearest enemy cruiser," Sarah commanded. The Vala's weapons blazed as they cut through the Shadow's defenses, a symphony of destruction unfolding before them. But just as victory seemed within reach, a chilling realization dawned upon Sarah. The Shadows had prepared for this confrontation. As the battle raged on, a hidden fleet of Shadows emerged from the depths of the asteroid field, launching a surprise counterattack. "Reinforcements incoming," Rodriguez shouted, his voice laced with urgency. "They flanked us." Chaos erupted on the bridge as alarms blared and tactical screens filled with enemy icons. The Shadows had anticipated their move, turning the tide of battle. Sarah's heart sank. They had been outmaneuvered. "Fall back. Regroup with the Iconian ships," she ordered, her voice firm despite the growing dread. "We need to create a defensive perimeter." But the Shadows were relentless, pressing the attack. Explosions rocked the Vala as they struggled to regain control. Sarah fought to keep her composure, focusing on the lives of her crew. "Hold the line." Primus's voice came through the comms, filled with resolve. "We mustn't give in." As the fleets fought back, a surge of inspiration ignited within Sarah. "We can't just defend, we need to adapt," she exclaimed. "Let's use the asteroid field to our advantage. We can break their formation and isolate their ships." "Understood," Rodriguez replied, his eyes shining with determination. "Let's do this." The combined fleet maneuvered through the asteroids, expertly weaving in and out of the rocky terrain. The Shadows, caught off guard by their unexpected strategy, struggled to keep up. With every twist and turn, Sarah felt the tide begin to shift. "Target their command ship," she commanded, her heart racing as they zeroed in on the Shadow's leader. A volley of fire rained down on the command ship, and for a moment, it seemed as if the Shadows would crumble. But then a wave of darkness surged from the ship, engulfing the area in an unnatural gloom. Shadow's ships, fueled by desperation, launched a final assault. "Brace for impact," Sarah shouted as the Vala rocked under the force of the attack. The crew worked frantically to restore systems, their training shining through as they fought against the chaos. Amidst the turmoil, a glimmer of hope emerged. The Iconian ships had rallied, pushing forward with renewed vigor, their advanced weaponry striking true. The command ship began to falter, and Sarah saw their chance. "Now, all ships, concentrate fire on the command ship. We can end this." With a deafening roar, the fleet unleashed their firepower, bombarding the Shadow's leader. The command ship erupted in flames, and with it, the morale of the shadows began to crumble. Their remaining forces retreated into the depths of space, leaving the joint fleet victorious. As silence fell over the battlefield, Sarah let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. The victory had come at a steep cost, but they had proven that unity could overcome even the darkest of adversaries. On the bridge, the atmosphere was electric. Cheers erupted as the crew celebrated their hard-won triumph. Sarah exchanged a glance with Primus, the weight of their shared experience reflected in their eyes. "We did it," she said, her voice filled with awe. "Yes," Primus replied, a hint of pride in his tone. "Together, we have sent a message to the galaxy. We are stronger united." But as they began to assess the aftermath of the battle, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. The shadows may have retreated for now, but their presence lingered, a dark cloud on the horizon. There were still unanswered questions about their motivations and what they would do next. With a newfound determination, Sarah addressed her crew. "This victory is just the first step. We will continue to work together, sharing knowledge and resources. We will be ready for whatever comes next." As the fleets began to regroup, the alliance between humans and Econians solidified, marking a turning point in their history. Together, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead, forging a path toward a future that promised hope and unity in the face of adversity. Echoes of the past. The victory over the shadows had forged a strong alliance between the humans and Econians, but beneath the surface, unease lingered. In the aftermath of the battle, Captains Sarah Kim and Primus met to discuss the next steps for their newfound partnership. "We need to understand the shadows' motivations," Sarah said, her brow furrowed with concern. "Why target us now?" Primus nodded, his expression serious. "They thrive on chaos and division. If we want to prevent future attacks, we must uncover their origins and goals." As they delved into intelligence reports, they discovered that the shadows were remnants of a once great civilization, torn apart by war and betrayal. Their hatred for the rest of the galaxy had festered over generations, pushing them to reclaim what they believed was rightfully theirs. "We can't let history repeat itself," Primus declared. "We need to show them a different path." Sarah agreed. "We have to reach out. If we can find a way to communicate with them, we might turn enemies into allies." With renewed determination, they began planning an outreach mission, aiming to extend an olive branch to the shadows. As they prepared for this unprecedented move, both fleets stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together.